instead of having to leave a plastic lock there, this is self-locking. Notice how when I turn it, what happens to those metal rods? They move out of the way, right? When you turn this release, it moves the rods out of the way. When you let go, the rods actually come back and they squeeze on the collar here. Okay? So now, I'm just going to install this. So again, be mindful how you bend and twist these lines. You don't want to break anything. That's it. Snap it in place. Pull back lightly. Try not to bend it and snap the spout. Just pull back lightly. Secure. Okay? Now we're ready to do our pressure test, right? We're missing one more step. I'm going to say, hey, Koi, can you do this fuel pressure check? Tell me if it's good. What do we not know? What do we not know about the Hyundai? We need to know what. Say that louder.
How much PSI?
We don't know what the specification is, right? So after we end this video off, you're all going to break, put the VIN in, and want to have somebody find the fuel pressure specification. Okay? You want me to do it in Chinese now? I can do the whole lesson in Cantonese. Okay, thanks. Okay. So we'll leave that there. Stop. When I do a practical test, I will expect you to do this yourself. Okay? You'll get practice. This is just one particular tester. Okay? There's many designs out there. But this works for this style. Okay? But my main concern is that you all know, first step, lead the system before you hook it up. Okay? We're not going to disconnect the battery or anything in this case because we need to do a test. Okay? So, thank you, boy. So what you got to do is somebody or whoever quickly go on to the computer, log in, tell me what the fuel pressure is. You can all try to feed yourself if you want. 2009, let's see who can find it the fastest.
1.6 liters.
2009, I have the accent. 1.6 liter. I need the fuel pressure. And log in procedure. I like it. See if you need to crank or just prime. It may or may not tell you if you need to crank it or not. Okay? So I'm just going to turn the fuel pump back on. Oh yeah, this unit here, I can put disable spark, disable an injector, make the do all kinds of stuff. Disable the throttle sensor, disable the manifold pressure sensor. Yeah. Do that. If I take out the crank sensor, nothing's going to work. And there's a scanner adapter here. You can hook it up and scan the car. Oh yeah, no, sorry. I just wasn't listening. My apologies. I marked everybody's assignment.
I was going to ask you if you got one, but then I remembered reading the comments.
There we go. Okay. Does one group want to try to do the Optra too? The Optra's even easier. You just gotta twist it on.
Yeah, I learned the hard way on that.
Yeah. So same thing. The Optra, you just twist it on. Later on, you'll need to learn these tools because if I make a no start, I'm sure if the car doesn't start, figure it out. You're gonna have to check the fundamentals.
Is it a GLS?
Doesn't matter. That's just the body style. That's like 4-door, 2-door, whatever door. Doesn't matter. Hey Mohammed.
Hi,
How are you today, sir?
I'm good. How are you, sir?
Honestly, I really like your scarf.
Thank you, sir. It's from my
We should all wear our cultural attire and apparel.
Yeah.
It's important. Yeah.
Exactly.
I'll show up. I'll dress like Ip Man one next time. I'll come in. I'll walk like this.
Really?
You know, the ponytail. Please do. What's this thing? Okay, so the specification for this car is 49 to 55 psi. Okay? Does it give you any information other than that point? Oh! Huh? No, but this is a testing Perfect. See? Okay. Come here for 1 second, guys. So our assessment was correct. If you look here, check it out. If you first, Koi found the spec. Shandil found the how-to portion, the procedure, how you would do this, right? Same thing. You see that? Most likely, I would say if I was working on this car, I would remove the rear seat. That's what I would do. I said, I don't work at Hyundai. but I just looked at the construction. There's nothing for me to connect at the rail, right? You can all see that the rail is a piece of aluminum with a pulsation damper at the end and injectors. That's it. Right here, first step, remove rear seat. Disconnect cover, and you hook your fuel pressure tester in line. See that? We have the spec. Tells you spec is 49 to 50.5, right? Start the engine. You have to start, just start the engine. But I believe the relay should prime. I'll teach you more about that after. There's a priming circuit. The ECU will prime it electronically. Basically, a prime circuit means when you initially turn the key on, as soon as the ECU sees you have your key on, it'll supply power to the pump just to fill up the system first before you crank. Great. So other than that, we're good to go. We've connected everything. Okay. These part numbers that you see here from the repair manual, these numbers are if you worked at Hyundai, these are the actual factory tools. Okay. Yeah. So who wants to go and try this?
Me.
Let's try.
Get some Muhammad.
Okay. So right now, confirm. All right. The gauge is reading. Remember, this gauge starts at 0. So what kind of pressure does this read? Atmospheric, absolute pressure or gauge pressure? Gauge pressure. There's no negative numbers. I'll pull out the AC machine and show you guys what an absolute pressure gauge reads. It reads negative pressure as well. Perfect. So I've re-enabled the fuel system. I put the relay back in electronically. We're just imagining that I physically removed the relay, right? I plugged it back in. In this case, if you were working at Hyundai, if you did it the other way around, let's say you lifted the seat first, you could have just disconnected the fuel pump and just cranked over the car. That would have achieved the same thing. You guys heard what I'm saying? If you were working on Hyundai, if you didn't know what the relay to which whatever, and you want to quickly disable it, you can just unhook it from the car. Physically, lift up the seat, unhook it, crank. It'll achieve the same thing for the most part. Well, they both do the same thing. One is you pull the relay, the other one you disconnect the pump, whichever's easier. This is one particular process for this particular application. Wherever you go, 1 minute you're working on a Jag or a Rover or Ferrari or a BMW, just check. For BMW, I'll tell you right now, you can just do it electronically with the computer. You just command it not to work or something like that, right? You don't have to physically take it out. So I'm gonna turn the key on. So first, key position 1, nothing. I'm gonna do key position 2. Nothing. So this prime circuit, it doesn't prime unless you crank. So I'm going to start cranking now, okay? Let's try again. Okay, I'm going to shut it off now. What do we have? 49. 49 to 50.5, right? We have 49, so we're good. 49 to 50 PSI. So that's how you do a fuel pressure check. Okay? All those steps that we go step by step. First you have to get information. You have to know how to disable the fuel so you don't make a mess. Especially in this style, if you get it disconnected under the seat, you don't want it to be spraying all over the place because you know fuel smell is very strong. Even if you wipe it, you put the seat back, the customer's gonna get in the car and be like, why does it stink like gas? Do I have a gas leak? Right? Great. So once we learn how to do this, the next step I will teach you what to do if you don't see what you're supposed to see. Okay? And you can check the fuel system physically by measuring the pressure, right? Or you can check it electronically. I could have determined the fuel pressure by just monitoring how much current the pump draws, right? If if you look at your textbook in chapter 28, that's why I asked you when I send you home with homework, there's a section on monitoring current ramping of the pump. By looking at the current, you'll know how much pressure your pump is drawing. Just some basic trivia, right? Just basic, not trivia, but like you guys haven't been taught this yet, but let me ask you something. Brainstorm. I have an electrical motor of any kind. Power wheels, your RC car, power window. Just think of something that's powered by an electrical motor that you have at home, okay? Do you think that motor will be using, do you think that motor will have a higher current consumption when it's free spinning or when it actually has to do work? Meaning resist, like, I got a little Power Wheels car toy or whatever, right? Going uphill, downhill, which is gonna make it work harder? Uphill. Uphill. So, when an electrical component works hard, the current will increase. You'll have a higher current. You'll have more flow, more current. It's kind of like if you look at it as water. The water's just going to be full tilt. You can turn up the pressure, it's going to flow fast, right? So by knowing that,